honestly, I descended twice in 21, and I was among those that believed we should have moved a bit faster. But then we really caught up with hikes of 75 basis points, which means that if we would have moved a bit earlier, it wouldn't have made a big difference because we really caught up. And I would say since then, we've done close to a perfect job. Which part of that is chance, I don't know. But we are a target. I don't see big risk to deflation on the upside or downside. If you would torture me and I would have to choose between risk on the upside or downside, I would say probably a bit more on the downside because of appreciation of the euro, cheap Chinese imports, an economy that's still relatively weak, the fact that we did not retaliate. But essentially, we're in a good place. And I know I'm just repeating what Christine is saying, but she's right. In Europe, I think the difficult part is we might have been in overdrive, and then we can correct a little bit. That will happen, is actually taking place. But which part of it is much deeper, much more like culturally our attitude towards risk, towards even success, and I would tend to believe, and that's actually Ageon just got the Nobel Prize and said, we don't like disruptive innovation in Europe. We like incremental innovation. So we are good at building combustion engine cars, planes, pharmaceutical, if it's incremental progress. If it's about disruption, we're not playing. And I would tend to think that's very deep. That's part of our culture. We want to be in control. We put more emphasis on redistribution. And so we know how that is. The Californian model, like moving fast and breaking things, that's very European. So yes, I think at the margin we'll correct some of the excesses of the last few years. Can we really go for big disruption and accept those and accept people making like in AI 200 million for one person? Again, when people make money in Europe very fast, you have like debate in society. Shouldn't we tax that? And that's deep. I think it's not going to change very fast. It needs to play catch up. The question is, can we? I have the impression that it's moving so fast in the US when you see the level of investments. I understand like 40% of growth in recent quarters is somehow related to investment in AI. That compares probably closer to zero in Europe. And let's face it, I think we're going to be number 3 at best. I don't know, 10 years from now, but in the coming years, we're going to be number 3 at best. And so the big question from a macro point of view, of course, is not so much maybe about who's producing AI, but diffusion. And we will have access to the technology. If AI is a game changer, then it will be to the benefit of all economies. Now you also have the other question, which is, who's going to capture the value of AI? Who's going to be able to capture rents? And of course we see like 3 trillion of investments in the US. But compared to the previous waves, if we come back, long time ago, mainframe PCs, Europe was never able to build mainframes and PCs competitively. And then mainframes disappeared and PCs became a commodity. So the cost of not being able to produce that was not high. The Magnificent Seven, network economies, social media, and apps, because they were network economies, you had rent extraction. We also see that with cloud. You have a lock-in with cloud that allows those firms to have a higher profitability. What's going to be the game for AI? You have 4 or 5 big players, then you have 2 tier 2 players, you have part of it which is open source. And one scenario is it's a bubble. There is some advantage for the first mover, but it's not that big, and you will have 1 or 2 making a little bit of money, but not as much as they've invested, and the others going bankrupt. The other one is that it's really big, so the big players will make a lot of money, but it will still be to the benefit of others. But Europe is not playing in that game.
Mario Draghi